Blake Lively just announced her upcoming new film, The Survivalist, and it has many people wondering, oh my God, is this about a documentary on the survivors from the crew of It Ends With Us? On the surface, this looks like another glossy role for Blake, but if you look closer, this one announcement tells you everything you need to know about where Hollywood stands right now, her ongoing lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, and why she might just be treated very differently than Amber Heard was after her trial. Hey everyone, welcome back to Ashley BTV. I'm a journalist with 15 years of experience working in the entertainment and news industries, and on this channel, I take you behind the headlines. Before we jump into today's stories, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Help us reach our next goal of 10,000 subscribers. This would be the ultimate birthday wish. My birthday is September 1st. I think we can get there by then. So today we're breaking down Blake Lively's big new role, what this really means inside the Hollywood power machine. Will she end up being the next Amber Heard cast out of society, or is she somehow gonna land on top? After all of this, we're going to go over some additional information and footage that reveals exactly how the set of It Ends With Us really was, and also some updates involving Mr. Ryan Reynolds, Colleen Hoover, and Isabel Ferrer. By the end of this video, I want you to answer, who do you think is going to end up losing the most by the end of this trial, Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni? Let's get into it.
Show me life, show me love.
Just a couple days after we see Isabel Ferrer dodging her subpoenas from Justin Baldoni's lawyers, and we see all over the headlines, another co-star on the set of It Ends With Us is calling Justin Baldoni a harasser. Clickbait fodder is what I say to that. We get this announcement late Thursday night that Blake Lively is starring in her next new film. It's a great way to distract from the headlines, and also a power move on her part to say that she's not only going to be starring in this Lionsgate film, but she's also going to be producing in it. Unlike we've seen her in past interviews say that she kind of squeezes her way onto sets as an actress and lies quite a bit, and then people don't realize she's about to take over the set. This doesn't surprise me that Blake's team really fought for that producer credit, because that was going to be the only way that she was going to kind of make it out in Hollywood by not looking like she's a complete diva taking over sets. And a big thing that Hollywood agents and managers and publicists really focus on is who's hot right now. If she were to have acted like Amber Heard, and kind of Amber Heard went off to Spain and kind of hid for many years, then people would have kind of forgotten about Blake, not really forgotten about her, but would have labeled her as this insane psychopath who took down this man's career, whether or not this ended up good or bad, right? But instead, they're like, hey, let's get you out right now while you still have heat, while you're still hot, while people are still pretty confused and probably just reading the headlines in this Hollywood dynamics between you and some random TV star, Justin Baldoni. Let's get you out and let's say that you're producing this so you still have that heat on you, and so you come out on top as a feminist advocate who is now claiming her stake in the ground and is putting herself on to produce more projects. Now, what's really interesting is if we take a look at some of these articles, it's crazy what this movie is actually about. And I feel like Blake is pulling a Matt Rife with e.l.f. Cosmetics and rage baiting us all. For those of you who don't know, Matt Rife is now the face of e.l.f. Cosmetics. Not only is that problematic for the comments that he's made about women, but that's also just a man who doesn't wear makeup representing a female brand. Of course, it's going to piss a lot of people off. And I feel like people are starting to really get sick of all this rage baiting, because they're saying you are trying to use our anger to get us to buy your products. You see, obviously, they do that with the Sydney Sweeney campaign with American Eagle. We see it with Matt Rife. And now one can say it's like Blake Lively's team is doing this with her new film and what it's actually about. So it says, Variety reports Blake Lively to star in action romantic comedy The Survivalist. It follows a highbrow reality TV producer named Annie, who is assigned against her wishes to a new show hosted by a famous survival expert, Chopper Lane. When a shipwreck strands them on a deserted island, Annie discovers Chopper is a fraud and knows nothing about survival, leaving her in charge of figuring out how to keep them alive. Forced to work together, they begin to discover an unlikely chemistry. The role of Chopper Lane has yet to be cast. Do we think it's going to be Brandon Sklenard? Probably. No. What's really interesting to me about this is she's coming in as this TV show producer who knows her shit, and she's exposing the host, who claims that he knows all about survival, but he actually doesn't. And she has to be the one to kind of save the day. Does this remind you of anything? She is literally rage baiting us with this movie based on the script. She is trying to mirror what she believes happened, which was she came on a set with someone who didn't know what they were talking about, claiming to be man enough, claiming to be a feminist, and yet she had to come in and save the day. If this doesn't read rage bait, I don't know what does. The film is also being produced by Mark Platt, who is widely known in the entertainment industry. He is nominated for 4 Oscars. He produced La La Land. He produced Cruella, How to Train Your Dragon, Snow White, and Wicked. So she's really taking a stand. The Little Mermaid. He's done so much. Dear Evan Hansen. She's really taking a stand in aligning herself with very big power players in Hollywood. A lot of people are saying this is going to go straight to streaming. We will see. It might. I mean, that's obviously what happened with A Simple Favor, but it really just goes to show you that Hollywood is saying we're standing by Blake Lively. Now, I want you to take a look at something else, which a lot of people aren't talking about, is that she has 4 upcoming projects. If you take a look at The Husband's Secret, you'll see that this is written by Pamela Gray, Christy Hall, and Leanne Rardy. Excuse me if I said her name wrong. Christy Hall, why does that ring a bell? Christy Hall was the writer on It Ends With Us. So if you think that she is no longer in connection to some of the crew on It Ends With Us, you've got another one coming for you. She's literally on another project coming up with Christy Hall, the writer of It Ends With Us. So as much as Christy could say, oh, I had no idea that Ryan Reynolds wrote that part of the script, I'm upset, and people are making this to be like, see, even the writer's upset. She might be upset, but she's not upset enough to stop aligning herself with Blake Lively, which is what you're going to see time and time again, because Hollywood, at the end of the day, they care about bankability. And right now, they still see Blake Lively as bankable, because whether she's getting the clicks because you love her or whether she's getting the clicks because you hate her, she's still getting the clicks. Why this is also significant is because Leanne was the creator and writer of Big Little Lies and 9 Perfect Strangers. If you recall, Big Little Lies was produced by Reese Witherspoon's company. So she's again aligning herself with huge power player writers, and they're also known to work with really powerhouse production companies that are female led, like Reese Witherspoon. Mark my words, Blake Lively will try to team up with Reese Witherspoon in the future. Now, whether Reese Witherspoon lets that happen or not will be her decision. I don't think she should. But you never know. Again, Hollywood is showing us its true colors and who they're going to align with at the end of the day. Daily Mail is one outlet that I feel like is actually telling it like it is, and their headline is a little bit different, saying Blake Lively lands bizarre new rom-com amid Justin Baldoni legal war, Godspeed to the love interest. And it says Blake Lively is facing a whole new wave of backlash after announcing her next role amid her ongoing legal battle with It Ends With Us director Justin Baldoni. On Thursday, Lionsgate confirmed the Gossip Girl star would be starring and co-producing their upcoming action rom-com, The Survival List, written by Rylane's Tom Melia. According to the synopsis on Deadline, blah, 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 you see Blake in this like power stance that she's doing. It says, the article reads, after the latest news broke on Lively's next big gig, social media users were quick to express their disapproval that a studio handed her the reins to another film. Good luck to the director dealing with her drama, one wrote on Instagram. Another quipped, eek, the next director better be ready. Godspeed to whoever plays the love interest. Who would want to work alongside her as a love interest after this? I would be fearful to have anything to do with any project that she was on, in fear that she made claims about me. I feel like she's a liability at this point. I read someone say, boy, you better have an ongoing voice note ready if you're going to get anywhere near Blake Lively. And I think you can see that a lot of people, especially men, should be in fear of working with Blake Lively on a set, because if she can accuse someone as sweet and compassionate and innocent as Justin Bell, these accusations, anyone should fear for their lives. Hollywood is basically telling us they don't care about her legal battle yet. Studios don't greenlight movies if they think the star is toxic. They care about one thing: will her name sell tickets? And right now, the industry believes that Blake Lively is still bankable, still beloved, and still somewhat safe, even if people are going because of the rage bait. It's kind of like how Netflix gave Harry and Meghan that $100 million deal. They know, hey, they are very polarizing. You either love them or you hate them. But either way, they're going to bring in viewers. Now, to see over and over again, time will tell if people are still watching these things, even if they are rage baiting, like they did with Harry and Meghan's 4-part documentary, or is it going to continue to show us that, hey, because so many people hate Blake Lively, she's not actually getting the clicks and she's not bringing in the money. Now, I urge you to think about this. If you are someone who is against Blake Lively in this case, do not see her film out of hate. Like, literally, do not give her the click and do not give her the dollar, because you are still helping her. You are still helping, showing that she's getting in that money at the box office. Speaking of Justin Baldoni, I want to remind you what it actually was like on that set. And I found this clip that I actually haven't seen anyone bring up so far. And it's from Variety. Well, he talks about what the dynamic really was like between him and Blake at first.
Hey, I'm Justin Baldoni, and Variety asked me to show you some pictures from my camera roll. Casting Blake Lively, super intimidating. First of all, I remember our first meeting, I was so nervous. She's like a creative force, and also so funny and charming and disarming when you meet her. I just knew right away that she was Lily, and I'm just so grateful that she agreed to do this.
It literally just breaks my freaking heart. But notice the words, how he describes Blake Lively on set and meeting her. Super intimidated and super nervous. That is not someone who feels like they have the power to make these moves against their star. You can clearly see that he understood that she's way higher on the totem pole than he is. Not necessarily because of her own doing, but obviously her affiliation with Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift, which is now gone, long gone. In the Variety piece, he's bringing up photos in his camera roll, and he has to talk about the photos. And one of them is of his daughter kind of climbing a big pole. And this is a great example where we can see Justin Baldoni's values, especially when it comes to women and raising his own girl and how he wants them to act.
Oh, this was a couple days ago. I'm trying to raise a fearless girl, and it's very hard because you have older generations in the family that get very scared when my daughter does crazy things. So there's a lot of like, be careful and don't do that. And I'm trying to like tell everybody, relax. Like, it's okay. To do dangerous things carefully, I think, is a good, beautiful thing.
Fearless. He wants his daughter to be fearless. He wants his daughter to stand up in the face of danger, to push her limits, to do dangerous things as long as she does them safely. That doesn't sound like a man who would do what Blake Lively is insisting. Before we get to comparing Blake Lively against Amber Heard and whether or not she's going to end up like her, I want you to see this clip where Justin Baldoni really talks about how he never wanted to play Rock on the set and just how much friction really was on the set.
There was a lot of pressure playing such a complex role like Rock. And of course, as a filmmaker, you're navigating personalities. There's all these things that happen every day on set. There's always friction that happens when you make a movie like this. And then at the end of the day, it's that friction, I believe, that creates the beautiful art. When we were optioning the book, Colleen had sent me an email and just said, have you ever thought about also maybe acting in it? Maybe considering Ryle. And that got me thinking, like, if she thought I could do it, then maybe I could do it.
Remember, this was all Colleen Hoover's idea. Now let's rewind. Amber Heard looks like a complete lunatic after her 2022 trial. Completely different story. She lost in the court of law and the court of public opinion. Her role in Aquaman 2 was chopped down to 10 minutes. She moved to Spain, and her next film's small indie project no one's heard of. Hollywood treated her like a liability, as honestly they should. So what's the difference between Amber Heard? Well, she didn't have the same level of brand power or Hollywood allies. Amber's trial was televised and memed into oblivion, every word dissected online. And when she lost, she became the villain in her own narrative. Blake Lively, on the other hand, cannot stress enough the importance of her being married to Ryan Reynolds and how much that is truly her lifeline in this moment. Now, I know a lot of you could say, oh, I hate Ryan, I'm boycotting Ryan. It doesn't really matter because Ryan's fan base is not the same as Blake Lively's, but it's his mega blockbuster films, the amount of money he generates between the studios, the production companies, his agents, his managers, his publicists, that is going to keep Blake Lively afloat. A lot of people are saying Ryan's going to end up leaving her by the end of this. I don't think so. I think if he were to do that, he would have done that by now. They have 4 children. They've been married for over a decade. This is very different. Now, the only way Blake Lively is going to continue to navigate Hollywood from this point on for at least the next 5 years is if she puts herself as a producer on the films. And I honestly don't think, because she's been so exposed in this trial, that she can end up moving in this world without getting that producer title, because that producer title grants her access to being a diva. And remember, her trial, there are no video cameras that are allowed in her trial. It's not going to be live streamed. We're not going to be able to dissect and pick apart everything that's going on. So, yes, she is definitely losing in the court of public opinion. But in the court of law, we've already seen her get multiple favors from Judge Lyman. So, what about Justin Baldoni? Ironically, even if he wins in court, his career is probably going to be more damaged than Blake's because he's tied up in these lawsuits, these insurance battles. He doesn't have the backing of Ryan Reynolds. He wasn't an A-lister. He was more like a TV star, B-lister. He wanted to be Hollywood's next thoughtful male director, and now he's radioactive. Studios don't want their productions dragged into legal wars. His Wayfarer Studios was going to produce the next Pac-Man movie, and that seems to be up in the air. And it's truly a shame. Here's the paradox. Blake risks her credibility if she loses, and Justin risks his entire directing future even if he wins. And that's why this single movie announcement is so revealing, because it shows Hollywood is betting on Blake, not Justin. And that's truly what I hate about Hollywood, because evidence has proven time and time again that it's Justin Baldoni that's telling the truth. And we're open to discussion and debate on this channel. And if Blake somehow can prove that what she's saying is true, then we'll hear her out. But so far, every claim she's made, they've been able to refute. And I mean, that's the power in Video Village. Justin says time and time again in his interviews, we kept the camera rolling. He talks about the birthing scene, for instance, and he says that entire time, the baby was only 14 days old. So we actually had to keep filming. So they have an hour of footage on that scene where they are filming of Blake Lively with the baby and with Justin. She said she felt incredibly uncomfortable in that scene. She was only wearing a little speck of black and she was wearing complete like shorts, like briefs. So Justin Baldoni has the receipts. And I think we're seeing, not only in this case, but in the Jillian Michaels case against The Biggest Loser, which hasn't been a case just quite yet, but she is calling them out. They all kept their receipts. They all have their emails. They all have their texts. They all have their footage. So that's going to really help them in the court of public opinion, because you know us, we love receipts on this channel. But I think what's so powerful about the internet and the internet sleuths and everyone helping to investigate these stories together is that we used to count on these headlines. Another actress harassed by Justin Baldoni, when in fact we're realizing, oh, the media is spinning things to obviously get the click, but they're also spinning things in favor of more bankable stars, which just is so revealing, so disgusting, because we're seeing that different outlets really are in bed with the enemy, are in bed with these power players, and this is how they keep corruption alive. So in the end, this isn't just about the survivalists, it's about power, as I continue to reveal on this channel. Hollywood continues to tell us they're not going to treat Blake Lively like Amber Heard. They're going to keep casting her in films. They're going to keep associating with a huge writer, Leanne Moriarty. And it's telling us that Justin Baldoni, who once looked like this rising star, may be the one that has to pay the steeper price. What we're seeing is a power couple who refuses to back down. And their way of doing so is to continue to flood Google search engine, to flood the masses with more positive content. And we saw the same week that Ryan Reynolds ends up putting out this ad. And Ryan Reynolds does, one could call it a great job in marketing, because he looks self-deprecating. And he puts out this ad on his Instagram.
I recently worked with my gin brand, Aviation, and my beloved football club, Wrexham AFC, to create a new limited time bottle. No, it's early. I'm proud to say it's been a huge hit. not only in the US and Wrexham, but in places that we never expected. I mean, it's flying off the shelves in Charlton. They're a huge rival town. The bars in Stockport, they can't get enough of it. You can't find a single bottle in Chester where they've despised us for literal centuries. Yeah, I guess it's just a testament to how smooth and delicious aviation American gin really is. Now in limited edition Wrexham bottles. Get yours before they're gone.
My husband and I were talking because I remember when we first started dating a few years ago, we had said, man, who's your favorite celebrity couple? And we were like, for sure, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Like their humor, their banter all over Twitter, his self-deprecation. She's incredibly funny as well. And now I do feel like a lot of the men, especially married to women like myself who are invested in this case, whether you're a man or woman, when you hear the residue of what's been happening, you just have this awful taste in your mouth. And I truly don't know how Ryan Reynolds is going to come out of this. I think a lot of people are going to start boycotting Blake's films. I don't know if this will have an impact on Ryan Reynolds. I want to say the majority of people who watch Ryan's films are going to continue watching his films. I don't think they're going to boycott his films, but we'll have to see. So if you're a man who has any idea of what's going on in this case, you have to show your alliance. You have to show Hollywood who you want to root for, and you have to do so by your click and by your dollar. Meanwhile, we're also seeing that Colleen Hoover is among the power players now that Hollywood says we're still buying into your films. We're still buying your books, and we are still making them into projects. She has reminders of him coming out. She has Verity. She has Regretting You. Speaking of Verity, one person that Blake Lively should follow is Anne Hathaway, but I think it's too late for that. But Anne Hathaway, obviously, was not known to be super nice a few years back. And we saw the Kirstie Flaw interview where she was a little bit rude, a little bit off when she was promoting Les Miserables. And a lot of people hated Anne Hathaway. And she is making a full-on comeback because what did Anne Hathaway do? She got it straight. She got it right. She says her apologies. And now the entire world is embracing Anne Hathaway. She was in the 2024 The Idea of You, where she played an older woman who fell in love after her divorce with a young pop star. And people loved that. People loved seeing a woman kind of taking back the narrative and saying, you know what? Yeah, we're all getting older, but hey, I could still be hot. I could still be young. I could still have fun. People love and are continuing to love Anne Hathaway's comeback. I think a lot of people are going to go see Verity. I'm going to go see Verity. I'm not going to boycott every single thing Colleen Hoover is doing because it's not just about Colleen Hoover. It's about everyone else. So I'm curious to hear from you. Will you go see Verity? And at the end of the day, do you think this entire trial is showing us that Blake Lively is going to somehow end up on top, even if she's not on top in the court of public opinion? Or do you think Justin Baldoni's career is going to truly take off from here because people are so invested in him, in his experience, in who he is? And do you think he's going to make it out of this case alive? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, I want you to catch up on our latest videos covering this case because we really go into depth of what it's really like behind the scenes in Hollywood, how Isabel Ferrer is being framed into all of this, and also what those text messages really revealed from Blake Lively. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, catch up on our next videos. I'll put it right here and in the description below. Really appreciate your support on this channel, and we will see you in the next one. Ciao.
Show me life, show me love.